Henry Cavill, the internet's favorite action nerd heartthrob, has just told Amazon to sit down and reconsider life choices over their plans to polish up the Warhammer 40k universe. But before we get started with this whole drama, I just want to quickly say thank you for the support on this channel. In the last video I posted, I only had 400 subscribers and I said I wanted to reach 1,000 before the new year, and we clearly surpassed that overnight. Anyway, I think Henry Cavill is in the right for wanting to protect the franchise that he completely adores. So he decided to speak up and defend what he truly cares about.
Geekiest thing would have to be my Warhammer stuff. Kind of confess to openly and publicly.
And let's be honest, he's not doing it quietly. You've got the grand vision of a Warhammer cinematic universe on one side, a potential pop culture juggernaut, backed by Amazon's budget that could rival the GDP of a small nation. On the other side, you have Cavill, steadfastly guarding Warhammer's gritty, no-frills soul, like it's the One Ring, with a not-today, Bezos look in his eye. This battle of titans centers around Amazon's creative formula. They want Warhammer to be more relatable and appeal to a wider audience with diversity quotas and all the feel-good messaging they can muster.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
That might work for fluffy rom-coms and superhero epics, but we're talking about Warhammer, a universe so dark and intense that even the orcs don't smile. Amazon's plan includes a roster of changes, from pushing new characters to rewriting bits of the backstory to be, let's say, a little more PG-13. If you're a Warhammer fan, you're probably raising an eyebrow right about now, and so is Cavill. Amazon's plan to launch an interconnected Warhammer universe, think Marvel's Avengers, but with more skulls, moral ambiguity, and ominous Latin chants, seems foolproof. It's a well-tested recipe. Acquire a beloved IP, sprinkle in some production magic, slap on some world building, and watch the dollars roll in. Simple, right? Wrong. When Warhammer fans heard that Amazon wanted to add socially conscious elements, their response was less than enthusiastic. And then Henry Cavill, the ultimate fanboy in shining armor, stepped into the ring to save the day. Cavill isn't your average Hollywood star looking to add a few more zeros to his bank account. He's a devoted Warhammer fan, a man who hand-paints miniature armies on weekends and gushes about the lore the way some people talk about their kids.
It's called Warhammer, right?
Warhammer, yes.
It's been around for a long time?
It's been around since the 80s.
Are they metal or are they plastic?
They used to be metal, but now they're all plastic.
You painted this.
I did.
And then you play with it?
You paint many of them, and then you play with them with other people.
How many did you paint?
Well,
Like more than one?
It's within the confines of the hobby, we call it our grey pile of shame.
You grey pile of shame?
Yeah, because they start off grey, and I have a very large grey pile of shame.
Amazon may have thought that Cavill, in his role as executive producer, would be their ticket to fans' hearts, and they were right. Except they misjudged how fiercely he would protect Warhammer's original, unapologetically bleak tone. Imagine the look on Amazon's execs' faces when Cavill shut down ideas that clashed with Warhammer's lore. Female space marines? Not happening. Socially sanitized factions? Forget it. Cavill is here to keep the grimdark in Warhammer, even if it means clashing with the giant he's teamed up with. Games Workshop, the gatekeepers of Warhammer lore, and Cavill's allies in this struggle, are also watching Amazon's plans closely.
If you've not heard of Games Workshop, there's a whole sort of game system which has been grown up in parallel with Dungeons & Dragons. Games Workshop, their system is called Warhammer 40k, Warhammer 40,000, and they've got another product called Age of Sigmar. This stuff has been around for like decades. Fundamentally, their business model is they actually manufacture miniatures, like little plastic figures that people paint, and so like they're making the money. Mostly 90% of their revenues come from just selling these little figures at very high margins, because it doesn't cost more than a couple of cents to manufacture one of these things, I imagine, and they're selling like a box set. Like your entry price is about $100. So there's like a ton of cash that's been printing cash over the decades.
They've spent decades crafting a brutal world where the only sunshine you'll see is through the ashes of battle. And the only diversity policy is whether you're getting shot by a bolter or blasted by a plasma gun. Warhammer fans know this universe is unique, and the absence of things like female space marines is intentional. The lore is unyielding because it doesn't care about our comfort. It's a universe where everyone's fighting for survival and the outlook is bleak. No motivational speeches, no "we can do it" pep talks. Amazon's usual playbook involves pushing for broader appeal by inserting relatable, inspiring elements. That's how they scored with shows like The Boys and Invincible. Both brutally entertaining but ultimately modernized and aligned with today's expectations for inclusivity and relatability.
I'm stronger. I'm smarter.
I'm better. I am better.
But here, Cavill's like, sorry Amazon, Warhammer's not about making you feel better. It's about making you wish you'd chosen a different universe.
Henry Cavill will star as the main character in the television version of the Warhammer 40,000 tabletop miniature game, which will be available on Amazon Prime. The show is set in the far future, where humanity faces threats from aliens and supernatural creatures.
He's determined to bring the unfiltered, gritty spirit of Warhammer 40K to the screen. Amazon, on the other hand, sees dollar signs in mainstreaming the series. You can almost imagine the pitch meeting. Okay, so Warhammer, but friendlier. Let's add some inspiring speeches and maybe a redemption arc? Cavill, possibly holding a painted figurine, just sighs and shakes his head. Amazon has a bit of a deadline problem too. They have until December 2024 to secure Cavill and lock down a plan with Games Workshop, or they risk losing the rights. So on top of everything, they're in a bit of a time crunch, trying to persuade Cavill to make Warhammer a bit shinier. But Cavill's dedication is unyielding. To him, Warhammer is a brutal, savage world, where happy endings involve a chain sword and a brutal victory dance over the ashes of the fallen. It's a fan's world, and Cavill's loyalty to that vision is rock solid. Amazon's diversity guidelines complicate things further. Their inclusion policy aims for a certain percentage of female and minority leadership on production teams, aiming for 50% by 2024. On paper, it's a well-intentioned initiative, but in the Warhammer universe, it's like trying to fit a unicorn into a space marine suit. Cavill's not opposed to diversity, he's against bending established lore just to check boxes. Warhammer's factions and character structures are set up for a reason, and each piece, as grim as it may be, contributes to the authenticity that fans love. Cavill's vision is simple: keep the essence of Warhammer intact, not dilute it with modern add-ons that disrupt its core. If Amazon keeps pushing, they risk not only alienating Cavill, but also the entire Warhammer fan base. The backlash would be epic. Replacing Cavill isn't even an option here. He's practically the face of this project. Imagine a Warhammer series without Cavill. Fans would revolt faster than an orc mob, and Amazon knows this. The last thing they need is an army of angry Warhammer fans adding #NotMyWarhammer to every social media platform. At the end of the day, Amazon might need to face a hard truth. They could either let Cavill take the reins and bring Warhammer's unaltered, grimdark intensity to life, or they could end up with nothing but a missed opportunity. Cavill, for his part, has drawn his line in the sand. He's standing tall, bolter in hand, metaphorically speaking, ready to defend the universe he loves from becoming just another Hollywood project. Warhammer's legacy is at stake, and it's looking like Cavill's not ready to compromise. For the fans, it's a rallying cry. They'd rather see Warhammer shelved than warped into something it was never meant to be. So here's to Henry Cavill, the hero Warhammer needs and deserves, defending a universe where nothing is safe, everything is hostile, and for once that's exactly the way it should be. If you guys liked today's video, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.